They never raise their voice. They don't explain, and they don't hurry. They walk through chaos as if it's theater. And somehow, the room adjusts to them. We call them cold, distant, unreachable. But maybe cold is just what emotional control looks like from the outside. Maybe it isn't a lack of feeling. It's mastery over the storm. The cold ones. Most people live inside their weather. They are hot one moment, freezing the next, thrown by every gust of emotion. Cold people build walls of glass. You can see them, but you can't touch them. And behind that glass, they can breathe. Carl Jung once wrote, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order." Cold people live by that order. They do not fight the storm. They step outside it. Story, the director in Chicago. He stood at the window of his office, coffee cooling in his hand, and waited for the noise to exhaust itself. 6 months later, his calm team remained. The loud ones burned out. He said once, "Noise makes you visible, but stillness makes you inevitable." Have you ever met someone who didn't chase, didn't explain, and yet everyone orbited around them? They win not because they are smarter, but because they understand one ancient rule of power. The one who needs less controls more. When we say cold, what we usually mean is independent of approval. They don't feed on validation. They can sit in silence without anxiety. They can leave without closure. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly." The cold person breaks the social contract. They don't play emotional ping pong. You throw affection, they don't return it on command. You offer guilt, they don't catch it. We call them cold, but maybe they're simply fluent in restraint. The rarest language in the age of noise. Susan Cain wrote, "Power resides in calm voices, not amplified ones." Stay silent. The myth of coldness. They look calm, distant, unbothered. People whisper, they feel nothing. But that's the myth. Coldness isn't the absence of emotion. It's emotion that learned discipline. Psychologist John Bowlby wrote that we develop two instincts, to connect and to protect. Cold people simply chose protection first. They're not born that way. They become that way. When the cost of warmth becomes unbearable, they once felt too deeply, trusted too easily, lost too completely. Daniel Goleman in Emotional Intelligence said, "Self-control is the ability to stay calm despite chaos. Coldness is that ability pushed to survival mode. It's the nervous system saying, 'Too much heat burned me once. I'll stay cool this time.'" Antonio Damasio found that when emotions overflow, logic shuts down. Cold people never stopped feeling. They just stopped flooding. Story. The woman in the rain. She used to cry in every argument, explain herself in essays. One day, she stopped explaining. She stood in the rain, phone silent, heart pounding, and did nothing. That was the night she became cold. But it wasn't coldness. It was maturity. The final stage of heartbreak. Cold people don't lack empathy. They just stopped proving it. Their calmness is communication. Their silence is a language. That's why we feel drawn to them. We mistake detachment for strength. But sometimes it's just peace. Detachment isn't coldness. It's control without cruelty. Coldness becomes dangerous only when it turns into contempt. True mastery is quiet, not cruel. Nietzsche warned, "He who fights monsters should see to it that he does not become one." Maybe cold people aren't heartless. maybe they're just heart-tired. They built distance the way others build faith. One disappointment at a time, and when they finally mastered silence, the world called them cold. Reflection. Perhaps coldness is not the absence of love, but the evolution of it. Love that learned its limits. Emotional economy. Every social space has a currency. Some spend words, some spend attention. Cold people trade in scarcity. When they speak rarely, people lean in. When they withdraw, others chase. Behavioral psychology calls this the scarcity effect. The less available something is, the more we assign it value. Their silence becomes gold. Their absence becomes demand. Story. The party. A crowded rooftop, neon smoke, laughter. One person stands at the edge, calm, no phone, no performance. Within minutes, eyes find them. Stillness is magnetic in a culture of display. Daniel Kahneman wrote that humans mistake confidence for competence. Calm people seem confident, therefore capable. When everyone tries to prove something, the one who doesn't controls the room. Social psychology calls it the economy of emotion. The more feelings you display, the cheaper they become. Cold people spend sparingly. Their calm creates value. Every sigh, every glance becomes a signature, not a leak. Mirroring effect. We subconsciously copy the calmest person nearby. That's why cold people rarely argue. They infect the room with stillness. Robert Greene warned, if you make others feel dependent on you, you gain freedom. They don't beg for presence. They create absence that's felt. Mini lesson. The 3 rules of composure. Pause before reacting. Power hides in delay. Say less. Silence inflates your words. Detach to observe. Attention is leverage. Some think cold people manipulate. In truth, they conserve. They know emotion is energy, and every reaction is a transaction. Quote, calm is the highest form of dominance. In a world addicted to response, restraint is rebellion. Maybe that's why cold people win. Not because they care less, but because they trade attention like gold. The emotional architecture. Behind the glass walls, there is no ice, only structure. Every wall was built after a collapse. Every calm tone, a rehearsed defense. Psychologists call it overregulation. Controlling emotions so completely, even warmth must pass security first. They don't fear love, they fear dependence. Once they gave everything. Now they measure. Story. The architect. He designs buildings the way he designs boundaries. Clean lines, no unnecessary doors. When asked why his homes have small windows, he says, because light should be earned. Cold people think that way about intimacy, connection measured. Like light through glass. In trauma psychology, this is self-protection through control. When chaos once hurt you, control feels like oxygen. But control numbs joy too. You stop feeling safe, even with safety itself. Jung's shadow, the part of us that hides pain beneath order. Cold people master their shadow. They house it quietly. That's why they seem calm. They're carrying a storm in silence. Inside, emotions still move, slowly, like heavy water. They laugh less, but remember longer. Cry less, but break cleaner. Cold doesn't mean empty. It means edited. Codependence theory. Some absorb others' moods to feel alive. Cold people stop doing that. They no longer borrow warmth. They generate stability. Psychological truth. Too much empathy without boundaries turns compassion into exhaustion. Cold people learn to close the circuit before the burnout. They don't chase peace, they become it. Distance isn't rejection, it's recovery. Silence protects feeling from noise. Reflection. What we call coldness is emotional architecture. Walls not to keep love out, but to keep the self intact. Cold psychology as power. The point is not to become cold. The point is to become composed. To learn quiet rules of control without losing warmth. Lesson 1. Pause before reacting. Neuroscientists call it the neural gap, the 2-second window between emotion and reason. Cold people live in that gap. Pausing isn't weakness, it's precision. Lesson 2. Say less, mean more. Verbal inflation devalues intent. Cold people understand the mathematics of silence. Every pause multiplies meaning. Albert Mehrabian proved 7% of communication is words, the rest, tone and presence. Lesson 3. Detach to observe. Observation creates influence. Reaction creates dependence. In that distance lies clarity. Mini exercise. When someone provokes you, count to 3. Watch how the power shifts. Paradox. They win because they don't fight every battle. They don't seek approval. They command it by absence. Emotional minimalism becomes a form of luxury. Less noise, more impact. Story. The interview. The director asks, "Why should we choose you?" He pauses, then says, "Because I don't need this job to feel whole." That was the moment he got it. Philosophical bridge. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate." Cold psychology isn't freezing the heart, it's heating the mind until clarity boils. Calm is not natural, it's crafted. Learn it, shape it, keep it. And when they call you cold, smile softly. It means you stopped burning for free. The noir monologue. The world worships reaction. Everyone must post, prove, perform. We measure empathy by exposure, depth by confession, love by speed. But noise isn't connection, it's consumption. Cold people stopped buying it. They learned, in a loud culture, calm is rebellion. In a desperate market, mystery is luxury. Robert Greene said, "Power is the ability to shape perception." Cold people mastered perception by mastering themselves. When everyone is shouting, silence becomes a signal. When everyone is available, absence becomes authority. When everyone burns for attention, detachment becomes divine. The currency of stillness. Attention is the new gold, but gold loses value when it floods the market. Cold people know. Scarcity is sovereignty. The storm stays outside. The warmth stays within. Coldness isn't superiority, it's recovery. They still crave touch, words, connection. They just don't want it to cost their peace. Maybe the point was never to win. Maybe the point was to stay intact. Quotes montage. Detachment is not apathy, it's clarity. Composure is a language the anxious can't read. Silence is the last form of elegance. So when they call you distant, thank them. When they call you cold, smile. Because what they really mean is, you can't be manipulated anymore. In a world addicted to reaction, stillness is a superpower. Coldness is not cruelty, it's emotional conservation. And maybe calm people don't win louder, they just lose less. Be still, the world will move around you.